love how the chat completely turns and everybody just starts cursing right off the bat in the chat. I really think that's funny. Hello, everyone. We are back. Thank you all for coming over. Those of you who have come over to join us for After the Impact, where we will talk all about the show that we just saw. You guys can give us your scores. We'll start off there. Jesse Callan is here. Jesse says that music reminds me of Bobby Lashley's music. Well, there you
That's where I got the inspiration.
See? There you go. Cheese Whiz, well, let me tell you something, brother. Not sure why you're speaking Hulk Hoganese, but there you go. Let's get this fucking party started, baby, says James Chadwick. And we are back. Gus says 8 out of 8. Gus isn't going to a 10. He's just going to go 8 out of 8. So, I mean, 8, it's a perfect score. It's a perfect score. But yes, let us know what you graded the show for tonight. It was an interesting show because I think we got a lot of different turns and twists for new storylines that we may see coming up. But I'll let you guys start out. Conrad, of course, is back with us for After the Impact. What did you think of tonight's Impact? What would you score the show? Uh-oh. No sound, Conrad.
Mute.
There you go.
Derp.
You're good.
I'm going to go with a 7.5 for this show. I think that the reason I'm doing that is because I want those episodes that are great to feel special, and I want you to know they're special when we're talking about them. And I think a 7.5 is fair, and that's not to say it was bad at all. I don't think so. I think there was a lot of build still. We're still building towards Slammiversary because there's going to be a lot of surprises, and you want the people who are already there in Impact to feel special. So that's my score.
Yeah, definitely agree. Go ahead, Jeff. What do you think?
I'm going to give it a solid 8 tonight.
Okay.
Just because I feel like, I could say it was like a 9 or a 10 or 9.5, but again, kind of like Conrad said, I want it to feel special. And while Impact is I think it's the most consistent show out of any promotion at the moment. I just want it to feel bigger when we give those 10, when I give a 10 out, but it was a great show as always. We're continuing to build storylines, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later, but there are some seeds planted to make you think one thing, but not all things are as they appear. Yeah,
very true. Well, I'm going to stick to the theme. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go right in the middle. 7.75. I'm going to go right in the middle. 7.7. I liked what I saw. Impact is great when they are, especially on the shows. Not, the pay-per-view is obviously a little bit different, but when the shows are going with promos cutting into matches and vice versa. And, sometimes I think I just missed those things in the back. Now, we had some great promos. We got the Su Yung thing, which we'll talk about. We got the, Rosemary and Havoc appearing out of nowhere after the card coming out of D'Amour's pocket, which I love. We didn't get Swingers Palace. I miss that every time we don't get it. But we got some good promos in the back, and we got some good wrestling in the ring. We saw some different things tonight. We saw Macklin, of course, out there tonight. We saw the thing that started the whole show with Morrissey, and obviously that's planting a seed going forward with Eddie Edwards. So I'm going to stick right in the middle. I agree with both of your points. Jeff's point that saying, when you want to grade something that high, probably going to save that for something big that happens, or a feeling of something major that happened. And even though we got Kenny and the Good Brothers at the end, the major thing for that story that kind of told was, I think, the thing with Moose and Chris. I think that was the biggest thing we got out of that. And going forward, just Moose's hatred above all else for him just overcomes the whole hatred for Kenny at this point. So, but again, a twist in the storyline. So I agree. I gave the show a 7.5. So Chad seems to be agreeing with us for the most part. I give the podcast a 10 out of 10. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad Jordan, Grace, and Rachel made up. Appearances aren't always what they seem. Don't be so fast to think so. I'm glad they're back together as a team. Let's Let's see what else everybody scores at. And you know what? We'll start right there since that is on top of mind. Sean Rousset says 8 out of 10. James Shattuck says 8.75 out of 10. Jay Hupp says 8 out of a fucking 10. Not just a 10. A fucking 10. 8.25, good storyline stuff, good fucking shit. This is on White. 8.5 out of 10, great show, says the Coug. 8 out of 8, we said from Gus. All right. Let's start right there since Chad was kind enough to bring it up. So let's start with that whole thing with Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering, and Jazz. And we'll go right to Jeff with this one. I don't know. I kind of think you don't really agree with Chad's assessment of all of this.
Chad, I think you're awesome, dude, but I think you took the bait hook, line, and sinker. That is exactly what they want you to believe at this point. That's exactly what Rachel wants you to believe at this point, that all of this, I just want to be friends with Jordan, and she's so great, and all of these things, and then just keep your eyes open for it, because I think maybe next week, maybe the week after, we're gonna get Rachel, and I said this weeks ago, but I think we're gonna get Rachel turning on Jordan. She sucked Jordan back in. Jordan's guard is down at this point. Now it's time to turn that knife and do the heel thing. And honestly, I would really, really, really love it if Jazz was somehow a part of that heel turn. I would so love that.
Yeah, they could go in either direction with that too. They can make it that Jazz is as shocked as Jordan is, and have her go that way, or have Jazz kind of be almost like a mastermind behind it a little bit, which would be amazing too. And Chad, listen, you're intently watching, and I love the example here, because you're getting what you feel that you're getting out of it, and you're getting out of it, like Jeff said, really what they want you to get out of it, which is fantastic, because it means you're intently paying attention to the content that you're seeing, and you're making that determination from what you see. So that's awesome, man. That's fantastic. All right, Conrad, what do you think of this whole situation with Jordan and Rachel Ellering and Jazz?
I'm happy for him. I'm with Chad on this one. No, let me stop. Chad, I got to disagree. But I think that's just because we've been watching for so long that we know better. I know better. Something's still wrong here. But you never know, though. They could just turn it around, and maybe they're a tag team again. Maybe this is just for a little short-term run. You don't really know, and that's the beauty of this thing. Like Jeff said, we've all been the person who's took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. And when it's time, that's the fishing line. The shark boy sets.
Shell, yeah. Yes. Look, I agree. You can see that there's something going on, and this is why, since we had their last pay-per-view, this is what we said. Now they're on the road to Slammiversary, and everything they're working for going forward with is heading in that direction. And I love how they're, some people may get impatient and be like, nah, come on. I just want to I want to find out what's going on. You're not going to find out, because they're doing this all for a reason. They're building this all up to Slammiversary. And I was in the same boat. I mean, as of even last week, I was thinking that they were going to, I was thinking Jordan Grace was the one that they were kind of pushing toward the heel turn. But, and Jeff made me stop and think about it. And now when you see what happens here, I tend to agree. It really seems as if it's, that's the way they're directing you to. And now, like Jeff said, it looks like they suckered Jordan back in. But it's cool, again, because you don't know. You don't know who's playing who here. You just know that someone's playing someone. So fantastic job. And this is what Impact does well. They really do. They have great creative in the back. I know that there are wrestlers involved with their creative too, which is always a good thing. When you can get people in the back like Tommy Dreamer and other people that are contributing to that, smart. And that's why they come up with good stuff. Let me see if anybody else popped in here. Jen Carter. Hi, Jen. How are you? There's Gust again. Who else is here? XF Live is here. Hello. Again, we saw Jesse. So very cool. All right. Let's go to, why don't we go back to the whole thing with, were you surprised that Morrissey took out Eddie Edwards? So let's go back to that, and I'll start with Conrad. What do you think of that whole thing and how that's going to develop going forward now?
I don't know what Eddie Edwards did to make this man upset, but he should never do it again. W. Morrissey's in the right in this one. But I really like that they're building up this feud. I think it's something for Morrissey to do, and I think it's going to tell the story of, is he here for the long term? What are his future plans? What's happening with him? But I think he's made a tremendous, no pun intended, impact with what he's done since he's been away from wrestling, and then he came back. This Impact run has been the best thing he's done since WWE. I said it.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. He's looking tremendous out there. He's got himself in tremendous physical shape. He is an absolute presence when he's in that ring, no doubt. And I hope he sticks around. We'll see. Because again, you know, he may be here maybe until Slammiversary, and maybe that's it. Maybe he goes somewhere else. I'm not sure. But I hope he sticks around. I like what he's doing. I like the angle he's playing. Kind of a revenge type of thing that he does. And him and Eddie Edwards, I think, is going to be absolutely tremendous if that's what they're leading into for Slammiversary. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, this guy has been absolutely – I mean, he's been on fire since he's been in. And he's made his presence known. And, you know, that's – when you got someone that size, and, of course, you can't teach that, but – when you've got someone that size and he comes in and he makes his presence felt. And the other thing that I really like about all of this is that he's getting the chance to show what he can do on the microphone.
Yep.
In terms of story at this point. It's not just this big 7-foot guy that everything's about him being 7 foot. It's him telling a story and really getting into a character and having that develop from week to week. And I really enjoy it. Don't know what Eddie did other than trying to be friends with Kojima, and maybe that's Morrissey's thing. Maybe he's just like, you know what? All these fake friendships and all this stuff, I'm here to break all of that up. So I mean, if that's what he's doing, I'm loving it. But yeah, I would never. You talked about me, Joe. I would never want to see that guy in the ring.
yeah, he's an intimidating dude. There's no question about that. But yes, I think that it kind of came out of the blue because we were expecting a completely different match. We were expecting Eddie Edwards and Kojima, and then that whole thing erupted. And of course, Edwards got taken out, and Morrissey came on the screen. Kind of talked a little trash to Kojima too as well. So that turned out to be a much different match than we were waiting to see. And I'm excited as to where what we're gonna see going forward from Morrissey. And if that's again, like I said, if that's the match they're heading for with Slammiversary, I'm excited to see that as well. We got more, I guess we could call it shenanigans from the X Division people tonight as well. So heading toward that big Ultimate X match, we seem to get this group of guys always every week. Kind of all of them end up getting in that ring at some point in time. Tonight was no different. We got 4 versus 4 in there eventually, and the champ, Josh Alexander, came out to help out at the end. We know where this is all heading. We know what this is all going to come down to, but you know what, guys? I think we might have got another person who we might not have considered to be one of the people that may walk out with that gold on Slammiversary from that Ultimate X match. And that is one Chris Bay. A lot of focus on him. Was up at the end of that ramp, kind of making a decision. Should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? Kind of fighting with himself. Yeah, I'm not going to go help out. But then he turned around and ran back into the ring and did just that. So, Jeff, is Chris Bay now a legit threat for that title? Is he a legit threat to walk out with that X Division title?
I think anytime Chris Bay is in a match, he's a threat, especially in a championship match because he's that talented. Um, and I like what they're doing with him right now. I mean, obviously he had the championship last year, and I mean, if we're being honest, he's kind of sniffed around it, but he hasn't really been there. And now he feels like he's there. I wouldn't. I know what it looks like on the surface, and again, this is just my creative brain, I guess, going crazy. But I I think when it all comes down to it, Chris Bay is out for Chris Bay, and I think he's about planting those seeds of I'm on your side. I I'm here for you. And honestly, this wasn't announced, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get all of those folks in a match next week or the week after. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that happens where we get that 4-on-4 and see what we get there. But yeah, I mean, I think Chris Bay is definitely a threat. He's someone that that at the end of that match, it would not surprise me if he was the champion, because I do feel like they have some bigger plans for Josh. But yeah, I think Chris Bay is a definite threat.
Conrad, I'm going to go to you. What do you think about that? You think Chris Bay is, he's kind of grabbed the spotlight a little bit tonight. What do you think about that? And do you think Chris Bay is a legitimate threat at that championship from Josh Alexander?
It's Thursday. Chris Bay is always a threat, in my opinion, for the championship. I really, really think that him and Ace Austin are going to be in the main event. And you know what? You can even probably throw Josh Alexander in there. If they stay for the long term, these are the guys I'm building around to get to the world title division. And I think you're going to start seeing those glimpses of trying to put it to something that people can relate to. When you see Triple H versus Rocky Maivia, that's what we're seeing right now with these guys. And I think you're going to get some all-time classic matches coming up from all of them in all different mixtures and kinds.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's, what, a lot of wrestling, guys, is about that build. When you're watching a young company and you're watching a company like AEW, you're seeing who they're going to bring up. You're seeing matches like Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy. You're seeing that kind of stuff because they're trying to bring people up on their own and rise them up through the ranks. And that's a great point. Chris Bay, Ace Austin, of course, and Josh. And Jeff said, too, that they think, he feels they have bigger plans for Josh Alexander, which would mean that if he gets away from the X Division, you go after the title at that point. So, yeah, I mean, hey, if Sammy does win it, Josh and Sammy would be a hell of a match for that title. So we'll see if that's where it goes. All right. How about let's switch gears. Let's go to the women. And we got some promos in the back. We had Scott D'Amore walking in the back and then found a certain card in his pocket, which led to a pop-up, let's just say, by Rosemary and Havoc. And Rosemary trying to talk her way into a match with Fire and Flava. Now, I'm wondering with this one too, Jeff, like, are we dead certain that Havoc is on the side of Rosemary? They've been opponents in the past. So are we 100% certain that that's not going to turn out to be something that maybe we're thinking, oh, yeah, they're just going to join up. But I don't know. Fire and Flava kind of tend to slip through things sometimes. When you think they're going to get beat, they kind of end up slipping through stuff. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, it looks like that's what we're getting. We're going to get Fire and Flava versus Havoc and Rosemary. But are those two, are they completely back to being friends again? Go ahead, Conrad. You start out.
I think the hocus pocus is working. I think that they are friends for right now. I don't think it's the same situation as we are in with Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering. This one is different. I would really like for them. See, this is one of those that could go either way, depending on what the future of the tag division is going to be. But I'm happy to see Rosemary in a prominent role. Like, I like when she's being used for a championship match or to help put people over and stuff. And this is the right road right now for both of these teams.
I agree. I think that getting the two of them back together. Look, Havoc didn't really have. When Nevaeh left, Havoc was kind of out there, and you really didn't know, what direction they were going to bring her in. And she does really well in the tag team division, and so now they're bringing her back with Rosemary. And yeah, I think it's a good combination. These two have a past, and I think seeing them back in the hunt for those titles, whether Fire and Flava somehow escape and hold on to them, we'll see, or whether it is time for Rosemary and Havoc to take the belts. Looks like this is going to play out again, Jeff, up to Slammiversary, and that's probably the match we're going to get, is that title match between them. Are you excited about the teaming of Havoc and Rosemary?
Absolutely. I mean, I like Conrad said, I think it's working. It's definitely working right now. So I don't know if they're the team to take the belts off of Fire and Flava. We'll see. But I got to say this. Their matchup next week is really, really interesting because we know two of the three. Well, actually, everybody was involved in that turn from, taking Su Yung away to seeing who we see now in Susan. So does that bring forth anything next week? Because that, for me, I mean, we could go down some memory lanes here and see that maybe Susan starts to remember some things, or maybe Havoc or Rosemary say something, and then she fully realizes that, oh my goodness, I know who Su Yung is. I am Su Yung, that kind of thing. And I just think that's a really interesting matchup next week.
Yeah. We had that little tease, of course, with that backstage stuff. I love how they're showing those backstage segments too, where someone's peeking in on them.
Yeah.
So the thing that makes you wonder too, and again, this is who's looking, who's the one that's peeking in on them. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody physical. If they're talking about Susan, the manifestation of Su Yung could be the one that is peeking in on those conversations. You never know with the supernatural kind of stuff, so you don't know, but it's really kind of cool how that happens a lot back there. So you can't really discount stuff, because look, a lot of times when you're doing promos and stuff like that, the littlest thing can actually mean something. So very, very interesting there. All right, let's turn to Brian Myers, the most professional wrestler, and Jake something. Looks like Jake wants some acknowledgement. Conrad, is he going to get the acknowledgement from Brian Myers? And don't forget Sam Beal in there as well.
Sam, take notes. So listen, they're going to go in here and do what they're doing best. I think that what they're trying to make Brian Myers is the smartest wrestler in Impact Wrestling. He's using people to hide and duck behind until he sees the moment for him to strike, to make his move. And I think we're building towards that match with Myers and Jake something. That could be the match that kicks off Slammiversary. You don't really know.
Yeah.
I like it, though. I like what they're doing with both guys. I don't know who to push here at this point. I think Jake something has a lot in the tank, though, and I want to see what he can do. And I think Myers is the guy to bring that out of him, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. What do you think, Jeff?
I love it. I love these two guys going at each other. So Sam Beal, I mean, he's going to be a hell of a note taker. I mean, if he ever needs a job where he has, any kind of memos or anything dictated to him, he's going to be great at it. He's really setting himself up for a career after wrestling at this point, which, I'm all for. I mean, you can't put all your eggs in that one basket. You got to have, a plan B. No, I'm excited to see, this feud with Jake something and Brian Myers. Brian Myers at this point is probably he's very underrated with what he's doing right now as a heel. Because he's on Impact, because he's not on everyone's television screens every week, I don't think people are seeing how great of a heel he is. And it's a shame, and I really hope that more people start to tune in, because the little nuances of his character are just, they're unbelievable. I mean, he's a slime ball, and you want to hate the guy, but it's like, damn, he's so good. So I can't really hate him. So yeah, I just think he's doing a great job right now.
I can't honestly remember very many matches since he's been back that he's lost. He really hasn't lost all that many times. And like Jeff said, he kind of weasels his way out of it a lot of the time, where he doesn't end up taking a loss, or he ends up just ducking underneath something somehow. But yeah, I love it. Look, him, to me, Rohit and him are both probably my favorite heels in Impact right now, because they're very traditional in what they're doing, but they're doing it in completely different ways, and I absolutely love it. All right, let's see what some of the chat is saying here. Matt Seal returned with his wife, says it's on. Mark my words. Chad Schrader says, if Rosemary and Havoc beat Tazzie's favorite pizzas for the tag team titles, I will say, holy shit. Yeah, Tazzy won't enjoy that if that happens. Anyway, Sue Young shows up next week, or Susie, says is on. Let's see. I'm going to be a man here and just say you guys do a great job. Well, thank you, Ms. Ottawa. I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Rosemary and Havoc fucking scares me, says James Chadwick. Let's talk about the main event then, shall we? So, again, I said before the show, this is a pay-per-view quality main event. You had Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. You had Moose, you had Chris Sabin, and you had Sami Callihan. Now, my big question was, could they coexist? Now, we saw a promo. It all seemed like it was all good. Moose came out and said, hey, you know me. I am for Impact, and that's what I'm going to do. And it looked as if everything was okay for a little while. Tommy Dreamer was back there with them and stuff like that. We got everybody coming out to the ring. And apparently, Moose just could not get over his hatred for Chris Sabin. We saw some interactions with them. Sabin hard tagged him in, and Moose, of course, did not like that at all, and then attacked Sabin right away, and then that was kind of it. It kind of all broke up from there. And, of course, when that happens and the team falls apart, of course, it leads to a win for the opposing team. We got the Magic Killer by the Good Brothers, and, of course, Good Brothers, Kenny Omega standing tall at the end. We got even a little interference from Mr. Callis outside of the ring this week as well. So what do you think of all this going in? And this is leading to separate things, of course, because Sammy's going to have his own match with Kenny. Moose is going to have the match with Chris Sabin. That's where this is all heading toward, obviously. But, Jeff, where do you think this is all going? And obviously this is just to build and build and build that storyline that we're getting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with Moose and Chris, for whatever reason, I feel like whoever wins that matchup might be the one to go against the champion at the next pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And I think that's August 14th. For them, they announced it during tonight's show. I think that might be the case there, but I'm loving how they tied everything together with those two. With Moose injuring him, having him out on the shelf for a while, and then coming back and having all of his hatred focused on Moose. And then Moose just doesn't like anybody. I mean, let's just be honest. He hates everybody. He probably slapped some people on his way to do the tapings. Being honest. So, I just feel like we're getting. I know I read some places where people were like, I don't understand how Moose was in the championship picture, and then now all of a sudden he's feuding with Chris Sabin. Here's the thing. Chris Sabin, freaking legend in TNA/Impact. Yeah. Man has been around forever, former world champion. Dude is a legend. At this point, with Moose, if you're Impact, you probably have the understanding that after after this contract is up, you probably won't have him again. He'll probably go somewhere else. So what do you do with Moose at that point? Or what do you do with him now? It's all about character development with Moose. He can go in there and be the big scary guy. He can go in there and, do these incredible moves. But can he tell a story between the bells? Like, can he tell the story when we're not in a ring? And the answer is yes. But feuds like this with Chris Sabin only help develop more of those skills. So I mean, this has been amazing. Moose has been on a tear. We said this like a year ago, maybe 6 months ago. Start putting some respect on his name, because dude he's a complete wrestler in my opinion. Once he gets a little more down with his promos and different things like that, I mean, whatever you want to do with Moose, I don't think anyone will have any kind of issues or complaints with it at all.
Yeah, great points. Conrad, go ahead, man.
Overall, when I see Moose for the first part of this, I think MIP for Impact overall, since I've come back to watching it, Moose is definitely one of the most improved players. Look at his body from when he first started. I think I got back in this, let's say 2017. It was probably a little before that. But once I saw Moose's body has transformed. He's worked out. He's gotten better in the ring. Like Jeff said, once he gets the promos and stuff down, this dude is on his way to becoming a champion in whatever company he decides to go to. Notice I said he decides. There's not going to be he's going to have contract offers from multiple companies. So I can respect that. And Chris Sabin, let's talk about putting some respect on his name too. Chris Sabin is a legend in TNA, just X Division alone. Then you got to put on top of that the Motor City Machine Guns run, and he's a former world heavyweight champion. Chris Sabin's absolutely great, and I can't wait to see what these two do. And I think Sabin is the guy who could take Moose to that look. We don't need the title. We can tell a great story. We're going to do our thing here, and it's all going to work out. It's all going to make sense. And I'm going to teach you how to tell a story so you can do this with someone one day. That is pro wrestling at its finest.
Yeah, great point. I think that match between those two could be a match. We talk about this a lot on pay-per-views. That could be a match that steals a show. It really, really could be. And I think when people saw that matchup, they're like, but I really think that could be, I mean, it is a David and Goliath story, but I really think that could be a match that steals Slammiversary. I really do. I think it's going to be great to watch. And the development of Moose's career, no question. No question. From what EC3 turned him into to now, we have seen just tremendous amounts of development from him. And wherever they decide to go next and what he decides to do, I agree with both of you. What better person to be in the ring with than a guy like Chris Sabin? So it's going to be interesting to see for sure. And then as far as Sammy, people are kind of back and forth with it. They don't know. People are saying, well, I saw someone in the chat saying, I think someone's going to screw Sammy. Could be. It could be. You might see something like that happen if they don't want to take that belt off of Kenny just yet and they want to go a little further with it. I mean, look, the bottom line is, guys, it's bringing faces to the show. That's the bottom line. And whether they're going to continue that with fans to bring more tickets to the shows, to bring more fans to the seats, they may want to do that because, I mean, look, like even our stream gets bigger when you get closer to a time when Kenny Omega is going to be on the show. We just saw that in the stream we just had. So it is bringing fans to, whether you like Kenny or not, he's bringing faces to Impact. And that's really what this is all about. James Chadwick shared a tweet. I'll just let you guys know. This is from Josh Alexander, and it says, I can have some fun with this one. And it's showing Macklin giving those elbow shots to oh my God, I forget it, Manny. So a little bit of stoking of a fire there maybe with Josh. Yeah, would that be cool? Josh and Macklin. Ooh, man. All right, we're getting a little on here in time, so we only usually stick around for about half an hour or so because we all have morning jobs to get to. So last thoughts, gentlemen, for tonight. and we will get on out of here. So I'll start with Conrad. Conrad, go ahead. Final thoughts for tonight's show and moving forward, even what you may want to see or what we're going to see next week.
Solid show. Next week's card is looking good.
Yep.
And I will stand behind. Impact Wrestling hits all the things right. They tell their stories. They keep it moving. They're building towards the pay-per-view. I think a lot of wrestling companies could learn from how Impact is organized and structured. The stories are already written out, and I know that they tape everything and you can do it that fast, but it's still about the structure and organization, because I think if they were even doing week to week, they still know where they're going with everything.
Totally agree. I tell you guys this all the time, and I'm not just saying it because we do the watch-alongs. It is my favorite show of the week. I look forward to Thursday nights more than any other show during the course of the week that I look forward to watching. So go ahead, Jeff.
Another great show. Slammiversary, I feel, is going to be special this year because I think we're going to get some things that we didn't know we wanted to see or needed to see, but we're going to get it, and it's going to be great. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what happens with that tag team matchup next week with Havoc and Rosemary against Kimberly and Susan. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there. I want to see if we get any more clues as to what may be happening with Jordan and Rachel. And honestly, give me more Morrissey on there. Give me some more of him, because I want to see what his end game is and who his target is. And for the love of God, at least give Manny a headgear or something next time and put him in a match with Macklin.
Poor Manny.
Poor dude. I mean, like he might be concussed.
That could very well be. # help Manny. Yes. Let's do that. Let's do that. Poor Manny. Yeah, guys, I agree. I am excited. And this will be our second Slammiversary since we started doing the watch-alongs. So I'm really, really excited. Excited for all you guys to be along for the ride with us. I mean, excited for Conrad joining us, obviously excited for Tazzy being here as well. It's going to be a great Slammiversary, and I can't wait to get there. Not that I want to rush it, because obviously once it's over, there's always kind of a little bit of a letdown when a big show ends, but it is really an exciting time to be an Impact fan. And that said, thank you for joining us tonight for both streams. Those of you that came over. For people that have just come over, make sure you subscribe to our channel and come and see us every single Thursday, because we are right here. Same place, same time. Every single Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we start the watch along. Come out with us. Watch along on Twitch. Watch along on Access, whatever you like. Yes, make sure you join us this coming Saturday as well. That is our weekly wrap-up show that we do every single week. We've got news, we've got reviews, we've got favorites of the week, we've got a debate segment, sell or no sell, we've got grievances to air. My grievance is going to be about a stupid mask. But yes, we have a little bit of everything on that show. So if you want to just chat some wrestling, come out and join us this Saturday at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hope you will be here for that. I know it's a holiday weekend. I know a lot of you guys may be going to some parties and things like that, and that's perfectly cool. So that is all for us tonight, guys. Again, really glad you could join us. Thank you for all the wonderful comments in the chat, and for always being here and keeping the show going. And thank you for the kind words that some of you have said to us as well tonight also. So from myself, from Jeff, from Conrad as well, and from Tazzy, wherever he may be, thank you all for coming out. We really, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Have a great Friday. Enjoy SmackDown if you watch that tomorrow night. And then we hopefully will see you back on Saturday night at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great night. Stay safe. And, of course, we don't see you on Saturday. Have a great 4th of July, and stay safe there, too. Take care, guys. Good night.